Hey everyone, this is Daniel. This is my Gecko video update vlog for September 25th, 2009. Well, I've got two updates today. The first update is obvious, of course. New optimized SeaMonkey build is available for download. Here are the chain sets I used for this particular build. Now, I intended to get this video out earlier, but there were quite a bit of things I had to do. And if I get a chance tomorrow, I'll show you one of those things I did in pictures. I will only say it's weather related, it's flood related, and that today we had 1.78 inches of rain, and flash flood guidance at the time that all the rain fell was 1.6 inches. So that ought to give you a hint of what I'll show tomorrow, if I can get the video to do right. Anyway, the second update. I'm going to throw up the site where I'm getting this information from, as I try to do when there are scheduling updates and all. And I'll also throw up what the schedule is. Now I'm going to move over here a little bit because I don't know how far I've got to stretch the annotation to show everything. But anyway, here's what it looks like now. Now this should, unless something changes, this should be the final scheduling update. So if things go right, what you see is what will happen. Anyway, here we go. The feature freeze was on September the 1st. So it's been in place ever since the release of SeaMonkey 2.0 Beta 2. Now the string freeze. This is the final string freeze for the SeaMonkey 2.0 series. So there will not be a string freeze after this point. That string freeze is on Thursday, October the 1st at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Translate that, Friday, October the 2nd at 1:59 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Now the code freeze is going to occur on Tuesday, October the 6th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Translate that, that is Wednesday, October the 7th at 1:59 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Now once this code freeze happens, all patches will need approval no matter what, even on blocker bugs and wanted bugs. So after that, after this code freeze, all patches will need approval, so they don't break anything else, of course. And of course, the Release Candidate 1 build will start on Wednesday, October the 7th. By that, that is when they will spin the Release Candidate 1 build. Now, of course, there may be one or more candidate builds for Release Candidate 1. I'm not sure yet. I'm pretty sure it'll become a little bit clearer once it starts, or once we get closer to time for the Release Candidate 1 build. Whether or not this is going to be a public release, I don't know. But as I mentioned in my MySpace blog, I'm going to treat my Release Candidate 1 build as a public release. Well, because I'm going to be uploading it. So, I do expect a little bit of difference at least between Release Candidate 1 and the final release of SeaMonkey 2.0. But anyway, yes, once the Release Candidate 1 build is started on Wednesday, October the 7th, the release of SeaMonkey 2.0 Release Candidate 1 will happen as soon as possible after the basic functional test of the build is done. If the basic functional tests work fine, then Release Candidate 1 will be put out the door. If not, they may need either another build for Release Candidate 1 or another release candidate in general. That part I don't know yet. That's what's got me scratching my head just a little bit. But anyway, moving on a little bit, the final release of SeaMonkey 2.0 is expected, in their words, later in October, probably on October the 20th. If that's the case, then it appears to me that they will be synchronizing up with the Firefox 3.0 3.0.15 release and the Firefox 3.5.4 release. And at this point, it looks like if they do in fact synchronize with the those releases, then SeaMonkey 2.0 in theory would be based off of Gecko 1.9.1.4 and maybe not Gecko 1.9.1.5 pre. So instead of a pre-release Gecko version, it might actually be based off of a release version. But after all, the Gecko version now is just a platform version, so the platform version may actually be a full release instead of a pre-release version. But that's the schedule as of right now. Unless something else changes, then I don't see the schedule changing much. Unless they need another release candidate or the final release gets bumped back a little bit. But as of right now, that's the schedule. But anyway, that's pretty much all the time I have for right now. If I am able to tomorrow, I will get a general update out, and I will hopefully be able to try to show some pictures of what it looked like in the front yard, and especially our neighbor's yard today, earlier this morning. So for me it was pretty amazing because I have never seen water in areas like I did today before in all of the 17 years I lived in this house. It was just astonishing to me. Anyway, I'll talk more about that tomorrow. But anyway, that's all the time I have for right now. I am Daniel here, and I will see you next time.